the reason why we put a 3 in front of the extensions. So, and if you have your extension on business cards, there's no need to worry. If somebody types in your old extension, it just routes to your new extension. So there's nothing to worry about on that end. David, do you want to practice using one of the phones? All right, here, let's kind of switch spots then so everybody can see. If we could just tilt this a little bit so everybody can see it there. And I'll pull this up, and David, here's a seat for you. Hey, can I have your name, please?
Rena.
So just to get started, everything's going to be printed double-sided on the user guide.
So if we could just open up to the first page. So as everybody can see on the phones, there's an X and a check mark. The X is going to generally mean to cancel or hang up, and the check mark's going to mean yes or to proceed. So I'm just going to hold this one up, David, just to kind of get everything moving a little. So say, for instance, if I simply bumped the settings button down in the corner, if I press the X button, that simply just takes me back to the main menu. Say, for instance, if I want to look through something through my call log, or if I want to go into settings, say, for instance, if I want to go through any of these, if I press the check mark, it just takes you to proceed. So the X is generally going to mean to or hang up, and the check mark is going to mean yes or to proceed. So with your old phone system, I believe everybody needed to dial 9 to dial out. Is that correct?
No.
Or you had to select the line. Was that accurate?
Nope, it was a rolling thing. You just picked up the phone.
Okay. Ours is the same way. Anything in the 412-724 area code, you just simply pick up and dial. Anything outside of it, you just need to put a 1 in front, just like your old phone system. So 412-724, just pick up and dial. Anything outside of that, you just need to put a 1 in front. Does anybody here use speakerphone a lot? So, David, what I want you to do, the benefit with our system is if you dial out with the handset in the cradle, it automatically dials out on speakerphone. So, David, leave the handset in the cradle.
Yep.
Would you do me a favor and dial 412?
I don't have to push anything, just start dialing.
Correct. 992-6740. So if you dial out when the handset's in the cradle, it'll automatically call out on speakerphone. So we'll say David wants to take me off of speakerphone. Could you pick up the handset out of the cradle? It'll automatically take me off speakerphone. Say, for instance, if David wants to put me back on speakerphone, I'm just going to hold this one up. Right next to the volume button, there's a little kind of horn-looking button. If you press that, that puts the speakerphone back on, and you have the button illuminated in green. So you can put the handset back in the cradle, and we're back on speakerphone, just to show the test. See, the one reason I like to emphasize, say if you do want to take it off speakerphone, then you want to put it back on, you have to hit this button and make it green, because if not, if I just put the handset back in the cradle, it's going to disconnect from your caller. Voicemail. So we have a list of individual users. Pretty much anybody tied to a phone that's not a spare or an extra phone is going to have their own individual voicemail box. Simply to check your voicemail from your phone, this is your message button right here. And when you have a new message, it'll be illuminated in red. And across the bottom of the screen, it'll tell you how many new messages that you have. Now, we do have some options for voicemail. We could have messages stored on your phone and sent to email. We could just have them stored on the phone, or we could just have them sent to email. Right now, everybody's set up the traditional way, just to have messages stored on the phone. If you would like them stored on the phone and sent to email, just let me know, and we'll get that feature added for you. There's no additional cost to have that added either. Any questions about anything so far? One thing I'd like to demonstrate and go over, it's not in the user guide. Rena and David, if you could leave the handset in the cradle and do me a favor and dial the number 413. So say if I suddenly went to dial 412, If we take a look in the bottom corner, there's a C with a back arrow. This one isn't in the user guide, but I think it's a pretty nifty tool. So Rena and Dave, if you press the black button in the bottom left corner of the phone, it's a backspace button. So this way, if I accidentally dial a 4 instead of a 5, I can just hit the backspace button, and then this way I can just go ahead and continue to dial. If both of you could press the X button for me, please. One thing I want to go over, one difference between our phone system and your old phone system is, if you put a call on hold with your old phone system, anybody was able to pick it up off of hold. So with our system, the only difference is we refer to that as park. So with our system, if you put a call on park, anybody can pick it up off of park. And if you put a call on hold, only your phone can pick it up off of hold. So if we could actually flip over, I'm going to go a little bit out of order. If we could flip over to page 5, then we're going to come back to page 4. So say, for instance, if I take a call, I'm the receptionist, or, we'll say Bob, I get a phone call, but it's for David. What I would do, instead of putting a call on hold, with our system, you just put it on park. And then you could just call over to David, hey, David, I have a call on park for you. So as you see across the bottom of the screen, we do have 4 park buttons. So our park button is your old hold button. That's one thing I do like to emphasize. And when you put a call on park, anybody will be able to pick that call up off of park. You would want to use hold. So let's say David's speaking to his most important client. I don't want anybody else to pick that call up. I need to pull up a file at my desk. If I put that call on hold, only my phone could pick it up off of hold. Or another time hold would be used if I'm speaking with a spouse, and I just need to check somebody walked in my office, I would use the hold button so nobody else could accidentally pick that call up off of hold. Because sometimes, with your old system, I don't know if it ever happened where you put a call on hold and somebody else accidentally picks it up off of hold. So that's the reason why we tend to differentiate the difference between hold and park, to avoid any issues like that for the most part. So just to demonstrate, David, could you do me a favor and call 412-992-6740? David, could you do me a favor and press any of those park buttons? So when David puts a call on park, I'm going to hear hold music. And then this way on every single phone, that button he put on park, that button will be lit up on every phone. So this way, whenever you have a moment, hey David, there's a call on park 1. To pick that call up off of park, I simply just press the button that was announced to me. So if they say there's a call on park 1 for me, pick up the call, I simply just press that park button, and then I'm on. So if I put the call on park 4, on every single phone, that park button is going to be lit up. David, could you do me a favor and pick that call up off of park?
Hit park 4, right?
Correct. Hey, David. Hey, David. And do me a favor, hit the X to hang up on me. So we'll say, I'm speaking with my most important client. Somebody walks in, they have an important question too. To put that call on hold, I simply just press the line that I'm on. And then this way, it says holding on the screen, and the call's on hold because this button up here is illuminated in red. So you have 2 visual indicators. Red is always hold, and the call's on hold because it demonstrates that on your screen. To pick the call up off of hold, I simply just press the hold button, and I'm back up off of hold. So really, the major difference between the 2 systems is, our park button is what you usually refer to as hold. And that's the part I do want to emphasize, just to make sure that everybody has a clear understanding of that. Any questions between hold and park? Anything about voicemail or anything so far?
I got one question.
Yes.
Why didn't we use the hold button down here?
There's multiple ways that you'll see that could be done from the phone. So you could simply, as David stated, you could put the call on hold by pressing the pause button down here. It'll have the same behavior as pressing the same thing as the line. So, there's more than one way to do it. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. I kind of just tend to do things as personally ways I think that are easier and more friendly for the user to see. The next thing I want to go over, if we could go back to let's go back to page 3. What I want to go over is how to handle multiple incoming calls. And what we're going to do, I'm just going to relate this to your old phone system. So let's do this. 341. David, could you do me a favor and dial 412-992-6740. So we'll say right now, David's on a phone call. He's sitting at extension 341.
The number you have entered has not been recognized.
I thought it was 341. One sec.
The number you have entered.
Let's do this on my phone. Let's do this.
The number you have entered.
One sec.
The number.
So we'll say if I'm on a call with David and another call comes in, he wants to answer it. David, if you could do me a favor, put that first call on park.
Like
Yeah,
Park
that's
one.
fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then when you're ready, you put that call on park. It gives you the caller ID of the second caller. To answer that call, just press that flashing button. And then you're on with the second caller. So if you want to go back to that first call, put the second call on part 2 and press part 1 and we'll be back on. Hey, David. And do me a favor, hang up on me. And go back to that second caller. Hey, David. So you see, it's the same thing as your old phone system. Really, the difference is hold and park. Does anybody else, Rena, do you want to test multiple calls?
Yeah, I do. I have one question. If a call's coming in and you forget to put it in park and you pick up the second line, does it automatically park?
It'll automatically place the call on hold.
Okay.
So then, if you answer the second call, that first call will be on hold on your phone, where only your phone can pick it up off of hold. So just to demonstrate that is, let's do this.
What you just asked, that's that tip, if you read it. See that
So
tip?
we'll say,
Oh,
and just go over, Rena. If I want to answer that second incoming call, I can just press the flashing light. Then this call's on hold on my phone, though, and only my phone can pick it up off hold. So in most cases, that's why everybody uses park, because it kind of is exactly the same way you did it with your old phone system. So we try to relate it and make things as easy as possible for the transition for you. Do you want to test it out to multiple calls?
I can.
Let's do this then. If you could do me a favor, could you do me a favor and dial 412-992-6740. So if you could do me a favor, put the first call on park and answer the second call. Hello, Rena? Do me a favor, could you put that second call on park and go back to the first call? All right. Do me a favor, hang up on that call and pick up that second call off the call. Test, test. Do me a favor, hang up from me.
Hang up.
Kids press the X button. Any questions regarding the multiple calls? Does that happen a lot? I know the auto attendant filters a lot of calls, and I know Vicky primarily, fields the calls and lets somebody, if you're on a call, she'll let them know if you're on a call. Does that something primarily anybody uses a lot, handling multiple incoming calls? Okay.
Yeah, we've had more, we have.
Yeah, I just wanted to show, just in case it would happen.
I just let it go to voicemail.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same
Yeah,
way.
sometimes you have more than one call coming in at the same time.
Certainly.
I would just say, Widmer Engineering, please hold, grab the second.
And honestly, there's no right or wrong way to use a business phone system for your business. Some people just, if I'm on a call, guess what? That's my main priority. Sometimes other users say, I have to answer that second call. So it's really just based on the business and how important that phone call is that you're on. If we could go ahead and flip over to page 6. Yes.
The caller ID.
There is. How we get the caller ID is how we pass it through. There are some oddballs, like if I dial *67, it'll come through as restricted because that's how we receive it. So how we get the caller ID from the incoming carrier is how we pass it through the phone.
Okay.
So yes, everybody will have caller ID. The next part I want to go over is transferring calls. So to transfer a call, you simply, let's do this. Let's say if I'm on a call, do you ever blind transfer calls here, or does everything always get announced? Like, do you ever just transfer a call over?
Yeah.
So to transfer a call over with our phone system, if you don't want to announce it, you simply just press transfer, and you dial the 3-digit extension, and it sends the call right over to that phone. So it's not going to be announced. That would just be if you ever just want to transfer a call right to somebody's extension. And you can hit transfer and type in their 3-digit extension, or if you have their name on these labels, you can just hit transfer and press their name, and it'll just send the call over too. Another option is too, with your old phone system, David, were you able to transfer calls outside of the system?
No.
No? Okay. So with ours, you're able to. So we'll say, for instance, if I wanted to transfer a call to David's cell phone, we'll say somebody called in and David's waiting on their call. So we'll say, I'm Vicky. Yeah, one moment, I could transfer you to David's cell phone. I just hit transfer, and David, your cell phone number?
724-624-0360.
You have your phone with you?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, just to demonstrate, all right, just to demonstrate, I just wanted to show that you could transfer calls outside of the phone system, just in case. I don't know if that would ever be necessary, but I'm assuming for engineering, a lot of your employees are in the field sometimes. So instead of giving out their cell phone number, you could just transfer the call right to their cell phone, and in this way, the customer doesn't have to have your cell phone number.
When you transfer, is it going to show where it transferred from, or is it going to show that number?
It shows the incoming caller ID. So if I called in, we'll say for David, and Vicky just transferred a call over to David, it'll carry my 412-992 number over to his cell phone. Does anybody ever transfer calls directly into voicemail?
Yes.
Okay. So to transfer a call directly into voicemail with our system, this is probably maybe one of the only times you're going to need to know somebody's extension. To transfer a call into voicemail, you would press transfer, pound, and you type in their 3-digit extension. So that will send a call directly to voicemail without the phone even ringing.
Okay.
If we could flip over to the next page, do we do any conference calls here, like
Yes.
three-way conference calling? So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that with our system. So David, do you do a lot of those?
I do, yes.
So I'm going to have David demonstrate, and I'll have Rena demonstrate. David, could you do me a favor and dial my number, 412-992-6740. So we'll say we need to conference somebody else in. Do we have somebody's cell phone number? Yes.
Yes, very much.
Okay, so what we're going to do, if we need to conference somebody in, We're just gonna open up a new line. David, could you press that second button down? And could you have your cell phone number, please?
724?
Mind to put that in?
Yep, 724.
624. 4338. Brendan's office.
And if you can answer for me. And once that second user that you called picks up the phone, you'll notice a triangle appear on the phone. And David, could you press that triangle for me? And once you press that button right below the triangle, it's a triangle, so 3 points on a triangle just represent a three-way call. Since you press that button right below the triangle, that merges all calls together and you're on a conference call.
What's the max you can have on a
So
conference
you can
call?
have yourself and two others. But technically, is there ways around it? What I can do is conference you in, and then you could conference two other people in. So the phone itself can only have a total of 3, but there's kind of ways around it. Where I conference you in, then you conference 2 more is another way, but that kind of gets a little bit tricky. When it comes to that, most people have like a conference call service that they tend to use, where it's, you know, online based. You could kind of kick people out, mute people, and everything
That
too.
conference call can be in-house, like 2 in-house calls and an outside call,
So,
or like
Could it be an
two
extension?
outside calls. A total of 3. Can that 3 include like 2 in-house?
So that 3, I'm gonna hang up from here so there's no echo. So the 3 includes yourself, so you could have yourself and 2 others. But if you include another internal extension, say if David calls me and he calls you on your internal extension, once you're on, you could technically conference in 2 more people to bridge it to the same call too.
But the answer is yes, it can be
Yeah.
you on your phone, me in my building, and somebody from the outside.
Mhm. Everybody's probably favorite feature is do not disturb. So when you press that button, David, nobody could give the excuse, I didn't know my phone was on do not disturb. So as you see, it takes up the whole screen, but sometimes it does come, it is a nice utilization of the tool. Say if I'm working on a project or if I'm at lunch, you know, I could put this on. So the behavior of do not disturb is, if I have the feature enabled, it's gonna send any call directly to my phone, directly to my voicemail. And simply to toggle it on and off, you simply just press the button and it'll turn it on and off for you. Call history. I have an easier way to do it I'd like to demonstrate. If the handset's in the cradle and you press the check mark, it gives you your call log of missed out and received calls. You could scroll through, you could scroll up and down. So we'll say I want to call my cell phone number back. If that silver bar is hovered over across that phone number, if I press the check mark while that's over it, it'll call out on speaker. If I pick the handset up out of the cradle while it's hovered over that, it'll automatically call that number back. So just to demonstrate, test, 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 test. Oh, that's why it's through the handset. Test, test. So just to demonstrate, did your old phone have like any call logs or anything?
Nope.
So if you just press the check mark while the handset's in the cradle, it'll give you your missed, dialed, and received calls. You could scroll up and down and left and right. When that bar's hovered over across it, if you press the check mark, it'll automatically call out on speaker. Or if you pick the handset up while it's hovered across it, it'll automatically call out using the handset.
How much data, or how many numbers is that stored?
Which one?
The check mark.
It holds 30 of each. So it'll hold 30 dialed, 30 missed, and 30 received. And once it hits that list, once you hit that maximum, it'll delete the oldest one.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask, so it just keeps rolling over.
Yeah, you'll never have to clear it unless for some reason that you would want to.
So it's not like it's every day it resets to 0.
No,
It's the
no,
last
that-
30.
That is correct. Another feature on here is, I just want to go over, is the page button. It's a one-way audio broadcast throughout all the phones. So say if I'm calling trying to reach somebody, I can't reach him, you know, trying to find David, somebody's here for him. I call his phone, he doesn't answer. I call his cell phone, he doesn't answer. If I press the page button, it's a one-way audio broadcast throughout all the phones. Now, if you're on the phone though, it will skip over you, just this way in case you're on speaker, that there's no voice collision coming through the phone.
Is that gonna be all the offices or just each office then?
For the paging. So each phone, if somebody pages, it will come through it. And, you know, obviously, we could disable it too.
You mean if we page Beaver Falls, that's gonna?
No, no, it's just specifically this location.
Oh, I think that's what he was asking.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Our pages here aren't gonna go to the other location.
Correct, I'm sorry, when you said page and you said office, that's why I thought you meant individual offices at this location. Does anybody ever forward calls from their office phone to their cell phone? Does anybody want to go over it? It's a pretty nice feature to have. So I'm going to demonstrate. Dave, if you want to demonstrate this one, I'll hold it up over here, Rena, so everybody can see. So if we press the button, it looks like it's the third button over to the right below the screen. It looks like
she's
a
doing this?
down arrow with a dot. If both of you can do it. When you press that button, at the top of the screen, it'll say target when forwarding. If you, both of you can just enter a phone number for me in there. And when you're done, if you could press the check mark. And you get a visual indicator on the screen letting you know where calls are forwarded to. So, you know, if I hold up David's phone, I know calls are forwarding to this phone number. So to disable it, you just press the same button that you press to start the forwarding, and it'll automatically take it off. And you know it's disabled because you don't notice it on the screen. Let's say I want to enable that again. Could you press the button again for me? It does not automatically enable it, just in case that phone number needs to change. So to enable it, press the check mark, and that'll let you know that calls are forwarded. If both of you can disable it for me. So it doesn't automatically enable it, just in case that phone number needs to change. Also, once all locations are installed too, I'm going to give you a master extension list. I don't want to give it out yet. I don't want to cause confusion because Connellsville, we're going to meet for details in the next couple of days, and Washington's installs next week. So I didn't want to give all the information ahead of time, David. I'll email Vicki a list as we progress through the installs. Any questions regarding anything?
If you forward, like you just did, whoever, like Rena forwarded hers to Vicky, does Vicky's phone show that Rena's calls are being forwarded to her?
It does not.
Okay, so it's just.
It just rings with whoever's caller ID.
It'd be kind of a friendly warning if everybody's forwarding calls to her, but yeah, it's just nice. Say you're on vacation, you're out in the field, you know, hey, I can't take calls on my cell phone, I don't get coverage in the area. You know, let Vicki know, hey, I need to forward calls to you. If somebody does call in for me, if you could take a message or send it to my voicemail. Would anybody be interested in the voicemail to email feature?
Yes.
David? Okay. Anybody else besides David?
Yeah, I would prefer that.
Okay, give me, we'll probably write this down.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying, add her to the list.
Yeah, Linda too.
Linda? Can't your name, sir?
John Powell.
Anybody else want the voicemail and email feature? Any questions regarding anything we went over, anything anybody wants to test?
I have one question. If somebody dialed a direct number to somebody's extension, and I'm answering phones and I need to answer that phone, can I grab their line and answer it?
So we'll say, for instance, if I sit next to John, we'll say John's phone's ringing, you know he's not there. So we could do it a few different ways. To better answer, I would like to see your phone because we let everybody customize their own labels on their phone. So we'll say you have John as one of your keys on there. If you see his light flashing, you can pick up his call just by pressing his flashing button. So what I'll do, we'll test that out before I leave, and I'll show you how that one works too.
Like if I'm sitting at another desk and I hear my phone ringing, can I grab mine?
I could give a pickup group. Does everybody use that feature? No?
Probably just me, maybe Vicky. I doubt it, but.
Okay. Yeah, what I can do is, we can do it a few different ways. I kind of want to see your phone before, we would kind of make any changes. So I'll make a note to stop and see you after. And we'll go over and go over the different options. Because without seeing your phone, I kind of want to see how your keys are labeled first before I start rambling off some information. Any other questions regarding anything anybody wants to test, go over, or try anything?
I hope mine's installed, I'm still sitting on the floor.
Get on those guys, no. One thing, when you do set up voicemail the first time, it does require for you to select a 4-digit PIN number. That would just be used if you're checking voicemail remotely. We have it set up, if you're checking voicemail from your phone, it does not require a PIN or a password. So you can simply just press the message button to access it. Any questions about anything? Does anybody check voicemail remotely?
Used to.
If you would need to, say for instance, if you would want to, you would just call the main telephone number, enter your extension. Once you hear your voicemail greeting, you press star, you enter your 4-digit PIN, and you're in your voicemail remotely. So I think I pretty much stayed the same, I believe,
That's almost identical.
as before. So, and really, if you're going to check voicemail remotely, it's a lot easier to get the voicemail to email feature.
When you have the PIN, say an employee leaves and they have a PIN number on their voicemail, is there a way to reinitialize that?
Yeah, so what we'll do, David, we'll probably, do you want me to give access to everything to Vicky? Because if somebody leaves, give it to John? Okay. Well, what I'll do, John, either in the next day or so, we have an online portal where you can make adjustments to. So if an employee wants voicemail to email, you'll be able to update that remotely from your computer too. Or if somebody doesn't want voicemail to email, you'll be able to make those changes. Any questions regarding anything else? And I have it for the
I'm
voice.
sure we'll screw up the first couple phone calls.
This one phone you use. These are engineers.
How about this? How can we change the hold music? Or do we have access to?
Well, we only had 2 choices.
Yeah, that is something that comes from a server at our office. So the reason why you kind of run into like license agreements. So we kind of have 2 different options. Ours is classical or 80s and 90s music.
Yes.
But
Ours is 80s and 90s.
Yeah, oh,
I'm calling
so it's
myself.
not bad. It's a movie, the Blowfish started out blind. But if you would ever have any customized files, doing advertising, if you get that over to us, we can put that in place of the music on hold. So some people tend to do, thank you for calling, Bob's Windows. We've been around since 1985, and kind of give some information about the company. If you would have anything like that, we could get that implemented for you. If you do get it over to us, we recommend some smaller files, because if you give us one large file and you put somebody on hold more than once, it goes back to that original file. So if we have smaller audio clips, it'll always play a different clip if you put somebody on hold or park or go to transfer a call.
Our old music on hold used to be a receiver
Yeah,
downstairs.
same thing. I see that.
Yeah, so our 80s and 90s, there's some like Hootie and the Blowfish, Start Out Blind, there's a little bit of country music in there, so there's nothing obscene in there or anything, but it's a pretty good, actually I don't mind listening to it. I think everybody likes a little bit of Hootie and the Blowfish every once in a while, but anything else question-wise I could address? And I'll be around too after the numbers get ported to see if anybody has any questions regarding anything too. If you have anything, I'll be floating around too. So I do want to make a bunch of test calls to Vicky to make sure she's comfortable with the system before we leave also. And if you have any questions, if you just dial 00 from the office phone, just to demonstrate, I don't know what's going on right now at the office, but if you just dial 00 from the office phone, it gets you right over to our business department. So we'll see who's the lucky one who answers.
Network, Josie speaking, how can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like a large pepperoni pizza.
Oh, you should have been here like an hour ago because Adam brought some in.
All right, I have you on. We're just testing the 00. Jody, we're in training. So we have you on 00. We're just showing everybody how the 00 button works.
Alrighty.
All right, thanks, Jody.
Anything else I can do for you?
No, not right now.
Bring the
Alright,
pizza.
sir.
Yeah, they,
Tomorrow.
yeah, they wanted some pizza here, Jody.
You want me to send pizza?
Yeah,
Your
we-
credit card number, and I'll have them sent right over.
I think they like Furies, they said, so.
Oh, I would totally go for some Furies right now.
All right, thanks, Jody.
All right, bye-bye.
Go figure. You're a genius.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do, until the next round of training starts, I'm just gonna make some, test calls. I was running late. If anybody gotta go down 79, all I can say is have fun with that one. It's kinda a rough one. There's a wreck there, so, you know, inbound and outbound is kind of a
Yeah,
nightmare.
nobody here is going down.
Take 65 in,
Well,
or the expressway.
I was gonna come through Robinson. I live in Hopewell, and I always check traffic. So there was a wreck in Hopewell, or right in Robinson, right by like IKEA, like where all that stuff merges. So I was like, all right, I'll go across the Veterans Bridge, go that way.
Go
And
51 up 151.
no, I don't gotta go back to the office.
Oh,
That's
okay.
gonna go back to Hopewell after
That's
this.
it,
So
that'll
it's not
take you
too
to
bad.
Hopewell, it'll take you to 5 points.
I could do that. Yeah, actually.
Just go to Monaco and go down 51 up.
Yeah. Did you see the cracker plant? How did you drive past there lately?
Yeah, it's like,
Got some acrobats.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
it's
All
great,
that.
you sit there, it's all,
All your things are great.
All you see is cranes.
Great, that's what we
Yeah.
were just talking about, all your things are great.
Everything. It's completely different. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna make some test calls. I'll check with